Thanks for tuning in, everybody. My name is Brock Page, and I'm still doing random sports picks for fun. Wow, I'm so cool. You also might be surprised as to who I'm picking in the late games today. If you just can't wait and you want to save yourself some time, check out my picks for this video in the description section below. Once again, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free and free ain't good. If for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. And with that said, let's get into some late game picks for April 4th. First game I have for you, Milwaukee at Oklahoma City. The betting opened up with OKC as the 4.5 point favorites, and the total points at 212.5. Since then, OKC is now minus 5.5 against the spread, with the total points dropping down to an even 211. Currently, the Thunder is laying 225 on the money line, and at the moment, 66% of the bettors think Oklahoma City gets the job done. Speaking of OKC, they're 14-4 in games at the current point spread, and also 22-9 against the spread as the official home favorite. They're facing a Milwaukee team who's failed to cover in their last two, and just 12 of 28 as the road underdog. On a side note, OKC games have gone under the line in 3 of their last 4. All that said, I'm ready to make my pick, and I'm in full agreement with the bettors. I think OKC at minus 5.5 will get the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I think this one goes over 211. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think OKC wins it. Next game, Chicago at New York. The betting opened up with the Bulls as the 3-point favorites, and the total at 207. Since then, Chicago's now minus 3.5 against the spread, with the total points dropping down to 204. Currently, the Bulls are laying 165 on the money line, and at the moment, 72% of the bettors think the Bulls will get the job done. Speaking of Chicago, they've been hot as of late, winning their last 4 games straight up. They've also covered in 3 of those 4 victories. They're going up against a New York team who's failed to cover in 2 of their last 3. In addition to that, New York's last 4 games have all gone under the total posted points. All that said, I'm ready to make my pick as I'm once again in full agreement with the bettors. I think Chicago at minus 3.5 gets the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I think this one barely stays under 204. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think the Bulls win it. Next game I have for you, it is going to be Memphis at San Antonio. The betting opened up with the Spurs as the 8-point favorites, and the total at 193. Since then, the Spurs are now minus 10 against the spread, with the total points moving upward to an even 194. Currently, the Spurs are heavily favored, laying 600 on the money line. And at the moment, 53% of the money's back on Memphis to get the job done. So look for that line to move. Speaking of the Grizzlies, they've had some significant success covering against the Spurs, going 3-0 against the spread in their first 3 meetings. Memphis also covers an impressive 77% of their matchups against teams allowing less than 99 points a game. They're facing a San Antonio team who covers a pitiful 18% versus teams allowing 99 to 102 a game. Both teams' games have also gone over the total points in 2 of their last 3. All that said, I'm ready to make my pick as I'm once again in full agreement with the bettors. I think Memphis at plus 10 gets the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm once again in full agreement with the bettors there as well, as I think this one goes over 194. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think the Spurs win it outright in a close one. Next game I have for you, it is going to be Minnesota at Golden State, and that's going to be the final game for this show. The betting opened up with the Warriors as the 13.5 point favorites, with the total points at 222. Since then, Golden State's now minus 14.5, with the total moving down to 218.5. Currently, the Warriors are playing Goliath, laying 2,000 on the money line. And at the moment, 58% of the bettors still think Golden State will get the job done. Speaking of the Warriors, they've been hot as of late, winning their last 11 straight. Out of those 11 wins, Golden State's only 2 losses against the number were spreads of 17 points and 18.5 points respectively. Warriors games have also gone over the line in 2 of their last 3. On the other side, Minnesota's last 4 games have all gone over the line themselves. All that said, I'm ready to make my pick as I'm once again in full agreement with the bettors. I think Golden State at minus 14.5 still gets the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I think this one goes over 218.5. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think Golden State wins it outright. Before I wrap it up here, let's go ahead and take a look at my heavily scrutinized teaser picks. The following parlay is a 10.4 pick super teaser. Let's go ahead and dive in. I have Milwaukee plus 15.5, New York Knicks plus 13.5, Memphis plus 20, and my fourth pick, Minnesota plus 24.5. Just a reminder, these teasers pay 5 to 6 and get graded as a loss should any game result in a push. You can find this exotic wager in several online sportsbooks and in the state of Delaware. Well, folks, that is going to do it for me. Once again, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free, and free ain't good. If for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, and most important, have fun. For Brock Page Predictions and Sports Picks, I'm Brock Page, and have yourself a positive day.